So whilst I was away at EA Play in Los Angeles, a bunch of new weapons and gadgets were found in the Battlefield 5 files, and somehow they were ported into the single player portion of the game, and then gameplay of them has now been released. This came from an account that's only just been created on Twitter, and it's named Unreleased BF Weapons, sort of hitting the nail on the head with that one. And we've now got a very detailed look at a large number of weapons and gadgets that are, we can assume, going to be released within the next couple of chapters of the Tides of War. We've got Chapter 4 Defying the Odds, and then Chapter 5 Awakening the Giant, or the Pacific. Bear in mind when you watch all of this footage that things aren't 100% finished yet, and in some of the cases the weapons are completely broken, they're missing animations, and they're not correctly placed on the screen. This is unreleased content, and in some cases it may never get released. This stuff might just stay in the files forever, so as such, you all know what I'm going to say here. Take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, so we're going to start with a few assault rifle type weapons. This first one is the M2 carbine, and it looks like it's got an insane rate of fire. I would not want to be on the receiving end of this bad boy. To me, this looks to be a direct competitor to the M1907 that we already have in the game. And then there's the Breda PG, which is another assault rifle-like weapon. Again, it's got a fast rate of fire, but in this clip, it's got this 4-round burst limiter on it, and that could help set it apart from other assault rifles that we already have, and it would offer a nice way to control some of that recoil. Next up, we've got some SMGs to look at. This first one, the Welgun, was never officially used during World War II, but it was a prototype British design from that period, and it's been mentioned in the files for just so many months now, and we finally got some gameplay of it. Then there's the Lanchester, again another name that we've seen in the files for quite a long time. This is a British copy of the German MP28 SMG, and it adds itself to the ever-growing list of MP18 derivatives that we're seeing here in Battlefield 5. The MP18 was a weapon we saw in Battlefield 1, and it pretty much became the blueprint for the SMG during World War II. And then we've got the Patchett SMG, or the Sterling as you might know it. It's sort of got two different names. This weapon was tested in the late war period by the British, and it was supposed to be a replacement for the Sten, but it didn't end up replacing the Sten until 1953, so well after World War II ended. Okay, moving on to some support class weapons now. This first one is the M1919 Browning MMG. It's an American weapon, and at the moment the firing animations, they just aren't working properly. I'd hazard a guess at this weapon being part of Chapter 5 The Pacific. It's an iconic American weapon from the war, and it will probably steal the limelight for one of the weekly unlocks through the Tides of War in Chapter 5. This is the S2-200 MMG, a brand new weapon coming to Battlefield 5 as part of Chapter 4 Defying the Odds. This one has already been in promotional marketing for Chapter 4. I believe it was in the trailer, and it is already on the Battlefield website. This one has a 30-round magazine that can't be upgraded through the specialization tree, so you're stuck with a really low ammo count for an MMG. That should help differentiate it from the rest that are already in the game, though. Then here we have the Model 37 Stakeout Shotgun. This American weapon was used in limited numbers during the war, but DICE has included its slamfire feature here in Battlefield 5. If you hold down the fire button, you're going to greatly increase the rate of fire, almost to fully automatic. It's not quite fully automatic, but you can fire the thing a hell of a lot faster. And then we've got the mythical Sjogren shotgun. This was in trailers before the launch of Battlefield 5, and still to this day, we've not seen a mention of this weapon coming to the multiplayer. The fact that it's now fully built in the game might suggest that we can use it soon, but if it was available in that trailer before the launch, then it's probably been available in the files for a very long time. So whether this comes or not, that remains to be seen. Now, we've also got some gameplay of recon class weapons here too. The M1917 Enfield is likely going to make an appearance with the Americans when they enter with the Pacific chapter. Now, some of you might recognise this weapon from Battlefield 1's Apocalypse DLC, where it was added as the unofficial standard issue rifle of the American Expeditionary Force. So, if you play Battlefield 1, you're probably going to recognise this weapon. And then we've got the Panzerschreck 39. This is an anti-tank rifle produced by the Germans during the war. It was phased out towards the end of the war because it was simply not effective against tanks anymore, but it is almost officially confirmed that this is coming to Battlefield 5 in Chapter 4. Next up in the extremely long list, we've got some pistols, some pistol carbines, and automatic pistols as well. First of all, the Astra 903. This is a Spanish copy of the German C96, but this one has got fully automatic fire on it. Now, as you can see at the moment, this weapon isn't correctly placed on the screen, and you barely get to see it at all, so if and when this does get released, DICE will obviously have fixed that. When I say obviously, we hope they will have fixed that. Then we have the C96 carbine itself, fitted with a 20-round magazine. This will fire in semi-auto compared to the Astra 903, making it a little bit better for range combat, I assume. And then, the From a Stop Auto makes an appearance, a weapon that you might remember from Battlefield 1. After that, we have the Repetier pistol M1912 P16, quite the mouthful for a name, but again, you might recognise this weapon from Battlefield 1. I believe this was added with the Turning Tides DLC as a primary weapon, so it could also be a primary weapon here in Battlefield 5 as a fully automatic pistol. Probably my favourite from the bunch, we've got the Welrod pistol. This is something we've seen in the Chapter 4 trailer for Battlefield 5, so it's officially coming to the game. It's a British-made, bolt-action, suppressed pistol. Now, the rechambering animation alone makes me want to use it. I'm really excited to try this one out for myself. Another suppressed pistol here, we have the Walther PPK, James Bond's favourite gun. And then we've also got the SW27 revolver. This is the revolver that is supposedly going to be even more powerful than the current revolver in Battlefield 5, which, if you're on the receiving end of that revolver already, is pretty damn quick at killing you. So if this is going to kill you even quicker, I'm fairly scared of that new gun. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. And now we're going to move on to what I assume will be gadgets in Battlefield 5. So this first one, I'm going to try and pronounce it correctly, is the Einstos Flammenwerfer 46. It's a brilliant name, I really quite like that. This appears to be a single-use flamethrower pistol contraption. So I don't think this will actually be a secondary pistol. I think this is going to be a gadget that once you've used, you can't use it again until you get more ammunition from some kind of ammo station. Then this impressive-looking thing is called the Fliegerfaust, a German ground-to-air rocket launcher prototype. In 1945, the German army ordered around 10,000 units, but only 80 or so were actually produced. In real life, it wasn't very effective, and there was a lot of dispersion on all the rounds that were fired out of it. It looks really good here in Battlefield 5, and if it does come out, I will give it a go, but in real life, it was just pretty bad. And then there's this wacky contraption. This is the Goliath tracked mine, and it basically looks like a small World War II style tank, and someone strapped a bunch of explosives to it and made it remote controlled. It's not 100% working in the game at the moment, but you can at least get some kind of sense of scale for how big this thing is going to be, and what you're going to be able to do is deploy it and then drive it up to whatever you want to damage, hit a button, and you'll be able to explode it. So expect plenty of explosive spam from this thing once it gets put into the game. The knee mortar is next. This is a Japanese invention, so very much likely it's going to be part of the Pacific Theater when that arrives in Battlefield 5 later this year. Right now, the animations aren't working correctly, but you can get some sort of sense for how it's going to work. And then we've got the M1A1 Bazooka here in action, an American weapon. Although this featured in the Chapter 4 trailer for Battlefield 5, it was in the section for Lofoten Islands, so this might be ready for prime time very soon. We might see it as a Tides of War unlock in Chapter 4. Nothing confirmed at the moment though. Then this is the M80 Firecracker. It appears to be some sort of distraction gadget that you throw down and it makes some loud noises. Whether that's really going to work in a multiplayer environment, I'm not sure, because in this version here, it just seems to make a noise right in front of you rather than reflecting onto other players. I don't know. It doesn't really look particularly helpful. Then we've got the MMG emplacement. This is something that I really don't think we need with the amount of people that already bipod camp with their MMGs without the need for an emplacement tool. But that's here as well because, well, why the hell not? Then the Panzerschreck, it wouldn't be a proper World War II game without this thing. And then the RMN50 launcher. This is some kind of mortar shell firing gizmo that explodes its projectiles on a timer, and if you look at the UI in the middle of the screen, it seems to have some kind of moving UI to it, so maybe you have to sort of guesstimate how far away the person is or something like that. Again, it doesn't really seem to be working at the moment. It's not 100% finished, so we'll have to wait and see how it really performs. And then to finish up, we have some really janky broken mortar at the moment. Apparently, this is going to be a squad reinforcement that you can call in, but clearly it's just broken at the moment and it's not working. And lastly, the TN17 radio jammer. This is a gadget that can spot fake enemies on the minimap where it's placed down on the ground. So enemies will be able to see icons on there that aren't actually real players. Now, that's a lot of stuff. Around 30 different weapons and gadgets found in the files for Battlefield 5, and most of them working to some degree with gameplay as well. I do just want to take this moment to reiterate because it might get lost in the commentary, and I want to make sure this point gets mentioned again. This is unreleased content. It's not official, and it is worth waiting for DICE and EA to talk about this stuff before you get too excited about some of it coming to the game. That said, there is some stuff in there that is definitely confirmed coming to the game. It's just, you guys should know that beyond the scope of that, it's all unconfirmed content. There's also a chance that some of this stuff is still linked to the 5v5 game mode that's been pushed back into August, right at the end of Chapter 4, so it's worth keeping that in mind as well. I'll leave you guys to think about all of this stuff. If you've got any opinions on it, drop them down below in the comment section. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and sub to the channel if you want to see more Battlefield 5 content, but a big thank you for watching today. And until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.